With the release of Libertad, and subsequently the release of my Libertad review yesterday, I saw a few comments on that video expressing essentially the same feeling that you see in the title of this video. I also saw elsewhere in the Warship sphere that, some other players were expressing concerns again in line with the title of this video. And that is, well, look, Wargaming's gone and did it again. They released something else that further power creeps the German battleships into, well, uselessness and obscurity, right? With this new Pan-American battleship line. Because it turns out the Libertad is kind of freaking crazy at the moment. And it is a real secondary powerhouse for the time being in game. So, while it is true that yes, the Libertad has come out, and it is a really strong secondary ship at the moment, is it really screwing over the Germans? And is it really going to, the Pan-American battleship line, replace the Germans as the secondary line? Well, that's what we're discussing in today's video. So what about these German battleships? Well, you see, all the way back when they were originally released, their thing was, hey, this is the brawling line, the line that you use when you want to get close to the other enemy battleships. They've got secondaries with good penetration capabilities. They even get a special formula for their penetration. They don't have to deal with the same formula that the other HE shells do. They get better penetration values, so your HE shells up and down the line are doing more consistent alpha damage. And these ships have high HP pools with really thick armor and good armor schemes for close-in engagements in game. And that was the German battleship thing. However, time moves forward, right? And as time goes on, new ships get added into the game. New lines, new premium ships, so forth and so on. I mean, this game's been around for almost a decade now. We are literally celebrating the game's 9th anniversary now, with the anniversary event active in the armory at the time of recording. So, naturally, more ships get added, and, is it fair to only have Germans be the brawlers? I mean, I like brawling in general, and other ships that aren't Germans, that are good brawlers, I enjoy them. So as time went on, we got more of these ships. We got ships like the Massachusetts that kind of set up the whole American battleship brawling formula. You got the accurate American secondary guns with their good fire rate but poor pin. However, with the good fire rate and the accuracy, you're setting plenty of fires on your enemy ships, getting you great damage over time. And they have the quick cooldown time on the on the American battleship Hill that has the long run time, and you get a quick cooldown time on the American battleship Hill. That way you can kind of, survive using, those consumables for a short period of time in comparison to the Germans that can kind of just sit there and tank damage and do good alpha damage and good damage over time damage with their secondary guns, because unlike the American battleships, you don't have to take IFHE to get those guns penetrating on a more consistent nature. They already do. So you can preserve your fire chance on those secondary battery guns. So, while yes, the American battleship formula is different, it's still fun, and the Germans still have their own thing. And now we have ships like, of course, the Georgia and the Ohio made from this same formula that are quite fun, and I would dare to say fan favorites amongst the community. So again, time goes on, and once again we get some more brawling ships in game. Skipping forward quite a bit of time, we start to get some of the Italian brawlers like the Napoli and the Michelangelo and the Giuseppe Verdi and the Sicilia with their sap secondaries and their smoke screens, where they have great penetration values with their secondary guns because they're sap shells, and they have an even more improved dispersion formula than the HE shells of the Germans. But guess what? They can't even get damage over time with their secondary guns because their secondary guns can't even start fires because SAP doesn't do that. And yet again, the German ships have better armor, larger HP pools. They don't have the smoke screen that the Italians do, but that's kind of the Italian thing and how they can use their secondaries. So, yeah. And the German battleships even kind of get eclipsed by, themselves, because we get the German Battlecruiser line with the Schlief, and of course with its ridiculous amount of secondary guns at tier 10, and its high speed and its torpedoes and its quick Soviet-style damage cod and such. So, again, they kind of get eclipsed by themselves there, but it's still in the German tech tree, so I guess who cares at that point. But now, of course, with the, well, Libertad making its way into game, it seems like this is another way to power creep the Germans. That, well, at least that's how some players see it. Is that really what's happening? Well, I would say that not really. You see, there's still a couple of things. There's still a couple of things that the German mainline can do better than the Pan American battleships. Well, yes, the Pan American battleships might have better outright secondary power because of, again, the funny F button and, again, just the large caliber of their secondary guns. That's just one part of being a battleship, right? There's other things that you do as a battleship that contribute to the game and just other characteristics in general. And the game you've been watching in the background is a pretty good example of this. You see what I'm doing here in my GK, and yes, it's the GK. I know it's a premium ship, special ship, whatever, and it's not in the tech line, but it used to be in the tech line. It used to be the tier 10 German battleship, and guess what? It and the Preußen are exactly the same, with the exception being the main battery guns are different. If I would have been in a Preußen in the situation, probably would have had a very, very similar result. But again, otherwise, they're exactly the same ships. Same formula, right? See, the GK has great armor for close-in engagements. It has a massive HP pool, 105,000 HP and change. The Libertad has a mere 85,000 damage. 85,000 HP. I mean, whatever. 85,000 HP. That's what the Libertad has. 20,000 less HP than the GK. And while, yeah, the armor on the Libertad is pretty good, it's not the GK's armor. Like, yeah, it's got that 51mm coating on the outside. You get a little bit of a spaced armor effect going in there, but the GK armor is just thick, right? Like, it's a solid friggin' boat. There's a reason why it's got 105,000 HP, because it displaces so much friggin', weight in the water, right? Because it's a bigger and heavier ship than the Libertad. And plus, the GK has, a catapult aircraft, fighter, or spotter, and the GK has hydroacoustic search. So it's got more utility there, a lot more utility there than the Libertad. So the Libertad essentially gave up a lot of what most other battleships have at tier 10 in order to get these super uber amazing secondary guns. And while, yes, when you are in the right situation in Libertad, where you're getting your F key up, you're popping your F key at the right moment to maximize your secondary firepower. Yeah, sure, you are putting down a lot of hate downrange with the secondary guns on the Libertad, but it doesn't really have a lot of staying power because of the smaller HP pool and the armor not being, again, quite as good as GK. The Libertad doesn't have a wraparound bow armor like the GK does. The GK has, that nice icebreaker bow with a very, very small bit that you can penetrate into its nose with. Granted, the Libertad does have, some improved internal armor that makes it pretty much nigh impossible to citadel through the nose or stern, but yeah, it's still not quite as tanky as the GK. It doesn't have the utility of the GK as well. But that's the GK line, or I guess the Preußen line. Again, Preußen, GK, armor, HP, all that stuff exactly the same. If you want to compare the Preußen to the Libertad anyway, Preußen has 457mm guns with really big alpha numbers, with a really, really low reload time, and you still have that 30mm overmatch with the Preußen's main battery guns. You don't have that with the Libertad. And that's just the main line. The Battlecruiser line, the Schlieffen, the Schlieffen, if you do the math, it does actually have better DPM, I believe, with its secondary guns than you get on the Libertad. Not counting when, of course, you have the F key active and you're a secondary god for 30 seconds at a time. But the Schlieffen still has a lot more than the Libertad, because the Schlieffen gets torpedoes. There's wonderful 13.5 kilometer torpedoes. He gets 4 racks of those. That's kind of nuts, fellas. The Schlieffen also goes 35 knots base, without any type of special commander or maybe if you want to toss the speed flag on there, but then, if you want to take swift and silence, and then, whatever, you can push it faster than that, but like, its base top speed is around 35 knots, so it's a lot faster than the Libertad, and it still has hydroacoustic search. So that's, again, another great degree of utility that the Schlieffen has that the Libertad doesn't have. So it's faster, it's got better secondaries when you're not using the F key, better DPM at least. So one might say that it's just another brawler with another new type of formula to the brawling method, where it trades, some HP and some survivability and all utility. Like, the Libertad does not have any other consumables besides its heal and its damage con. That is it. Now, it is a specialized heal, so I'll give it that. But again, in terms of like utility, there's no fighter, there's no spotter, there's no radar, there's no hydroacoustic search. You get none of that. So you're trading all of that to get that funny F button. So while the Libertad right now is, kind of the chosen one for most secondary players, as time goes on, it'll probably, normalize out. It's going to get nerfed, I think, for sure, because, yeah, while it does give all this stuff up for the secondaries are kind of insane right now, so it's probably going to get tuned down a little bit in the future, but it's still, can't do all the things that, like, the mainline German battleships can do, and it still can't do all the things that the German battlecruisers can do. Those ships still have their own ways to be played that are quite different from the Libertad. While, yes, they all still brawl, the Libertad is just a new formula on top of this, brawling method. One that I'm having quite a bit of fun with. But, like, yeah, my GK in this video, we sit on this flank, and I tank a lot of damage for my team, and because of that, helps us, win the match, right? Sitting on a flank being kind of, just the solid backstop for your team, and taking all those shells and those torpedoes. Libertad can't do that because it doesn't have the HP for that, right? That's one major downside of having less HP at your tier. Torpedoes at your tier, they're balanced around your average battleship's HP at that tier, or your average ship HP at that tier. That's why, like the Shimakaze's torpedoes do a lot more damage than, whatever the tier 5 Japanese destroyer is. Libertad eating 2 of those torpedoes is a lot more serious of a manner than a GK eating 2 of those torpedoes. So, yeah, it doesn't really have the staying power of the GK, but again, most of the fellows playing the Libertad, they're playing it because, you're giving it all up to have maximum secondary firepower for 30 seconds with your funny F button. So, has the Libertad and has the Pan American battleships, power crept Germany once again and made Germany even more miserable nation to play? No, not really. Is it a fun addition to the game for the time being before it gets nerfed? Yeah. And what's really funny too is that every time Germany gets brought up, it's like there's this conspiracy theory that Wargaming hates Germany, but like there was a year ago, Germany just kept catching W's from Wargaming. But we got Schlieffen, we got Mecklenburg, we got oh god, what's the ship's name? I can't think of it right now. The Brandenburg, the Schroeder. Like we got a pretty hot run in Germany for quite a bit there from Wargaming, so yeah, But anyway, guys, it's my 2 cents on that subject. I don't really think, the Pan American battleships are going to fully replace the German. There's still things that, the German battleships do great, the German battlecruisers do great, there's things that the Pan American battleships do great, but I don't think one is going to replace the other because, again, different characteristics, different armor, different tool sets, different play styles. So that's my 2 cents on that, fellas. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Hope you guys have a wonderful Saturday. If you did enjoy the video, make sure you drop a like, leave a comment, all that jazz. Helps on the YouTube side of things. Hope you guys have a great Saturday and a great weekend. Hope to catch you guys in the next one.